Hi, I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Good morning. This is Jonathan Small, host and producer of All About You. This program is broadcast every week at AccessTV.org studios in downtown Hartford. This show is designed to give the guests a chance to give their life story, and sometimes we get into a particular topic. This morning, I have an interesting guest. He's a political activist here in the capital city of Hartford. His name is Kennard Ray. Good morning, Kennard. How you doing?
Morning, Jonathan. How's everything?
Everything is going good.
All right.
Could you kind of let people know pretty much where did your life got started at?
Right here in capital city, as you said, North End, 06120. Okay. So, I spent most of my time on Mel Avenue. Not sure if you know that part of town.
I do.
Yeah, Bellevue Square area. Public school kid like most kids. Free lunch, public school guy. But I actually was early on taken into the project concerns system. So got a different take on life other than what I saw at home, and also educated a little differently. You know, if I could take it back, I wouldn't. But at the same time, I'm definitely an advocate for community schools because I think every child should have the opportunity to have the kind of education you would get in West Hartford, right in their community. I don't think my story is in any way atypical, single parent household. But I guess one of the things that may be different is like I was the only child, so my mom had plenty of time to kind of tend to me and make sure that education was important, at a young age. But despite that, I'm 32 years old now. Okay. So in my formative years, this was just the reason why I mentioned the 06120 area code is because, it is one of the poorest in the city, if not the poorest. And at that time, in my formative years, let's say 13, 14, 15, we were in the throes of a gang war here in the city. So, you kind of, I never want to be the person to blame things on being a product of your environment, but the reality is the reality. When you see Dan Rather driving through your neighborhood filming a documentary called The Killing Fields of America, and at the time that the original Killing Fields movie or documentary was about Pol Pot in war-torn Cambodia, and that's what your home is being compared to, then you know that making that comparison from now to then, it was some pretty, just say, non-fertile ground to be sown on. So, I mean, let's put it like this. Going back to Mill Avenue, there's 22 buildings, and each one of those buildings is probably about at least a 3-family home on the street. And I could tell you where each of the little boys on that street went to. They went to prison or they went to the grave, or both. And a part of my story is, going through that process as well. I'm not dead. Yes. So, I did go through the prison process, though, in the judicial system. And I think it's important to point out that out of 22 homes and several families, or 22 buildings and several homes and families, and knowing where all or most of them went, it's definitely a system. It's trouble in the system. It's a systemic issue.
Well, excuse me. Didn't you go to the Project Concern? What age was you when you went into the Project Concern, or what is the Project Concern?
Project Concern is a program started in the '60s, used or implemented to get children, let's just say, the best education they possibly could get them, busing inner city kids out into suburban school districts. The original goal, and it was a well-intentioned goal. Today it's called Project Choice.
Project Choice, okay.
Right, but the goal was, and I presume still is to give children from the inner city an opportunity at a better education other than what they're getting in their inner city schools, in their inner city community schools. So,
but wasn't that like giving you a different type of opportunity to get a better education, and did you take advantage of it?
Well, that's exactly what I just touched on.
Okay.
I definitely had an opportunity to see different things and be educated in a different way.
Right.
But that doesn't address socioeconomic issues. I'm a 80s baby, so in the late 80s, this is maybe far too political for the show, but it was the end of the Cold War, and what you saw on television every day or in school was, there were Russians and waiting for bread in line. That's what we were talking about in school. Well, when I came home from school, me and my mom had to wait in line for a block of cheese, just in the same way that, it was the propaganda was posited to us that they did in Russia. We did it in the same way here, right in the U.S.
Right.
So my point is, I got to see and experience another side of life and learn in a different way. And, absolutely, it helped me work up to my potential scholastically, but at the same time, busing a kid into a town in the morning and out in the evening does not address socioeconomic issues. It does not address poverty. It doesn't, you can. There are some folks that have the intestinal fortitude to take the education that they're able to glean from that and really move on and persevere. But I can tell you, actually, pretty factually, that the folks that I went to school with and the kids that I knew in Project Concern throughout that time, throughout that area, I don't know about Project Choice today, but most, if not all, most of the folks that I knew did not graduate from the schools that they were bussed out to, because there's the socio-economic pieces that always need to be addressed. And if you're not building a whole child, and building a whole child goes to that, it takes a village type of thing. If you're not building a whole child, you're just kind of doing tip of the iceberg type of initiatives that don't really address and really, strengthen a child as they should be. The kids in West Hartford, where I went to school, they didn't have to wait for a block of cheese or powdered milk, or we had powdered milk and I'm trying to think of what it was. It was like all these white labeled peanut butter and stuff like that. That wasn't a reality for those children. But it was mine. So if you're not addressing the whole thing again, then educationally, you're only getting a piece.
Well, did you graduate from this Project Choice program?
Project Concern?
Concern?
No. I didn't.
Now, why did you not graduate?
I was getting in trouble.
Okay.
I was getting in trouble. the socioeconomic issues in the environment at the time. If we go back to what I was saying about, the killing fields of America in 1993, 94, that being a CBS special that ran nationally about Hartford, the gravitational pull was a lot greater towards bad than good, and that I definitely played a role in me not graduating through Project Concern, and actually ended up, coming back into Harvard schools and things like that.
Well, you didn't see the benefit that if you was able to graduate from this Project Concern and you had a chance to go to higher education, that would give you a sense of an opportunity to get out of your environment and possibly come back and be able to help your environment? I mean, how did you look at the situation that you was involved with at the time when you decided to get into trouble in the streets here in Hartford?
I don't think that's a decision that, like, so I don't know if you have children or not. I don't have children. Do you?
I have stepchildren. I don't have no children.
Yeah, I don't have any children, but you know, I work with kids all the time, and you know, statistics and studies say that children's brains aren't fully formed until they're 21. So children make the dumbest decisions in the world. Like it's not a full-on decision that you make as a kid to say, you know what, if I do this, I can do anything. Like if I just stay here and I just go to school every day, I'll just do anything. Otherwise, you wouldn't have, you know, the decisions that adolescents make, the silly decisions that they make every day, whether it's, you know, going to, well, you'll see it play out on television every day where some younger kids go to a underage teen drinking party. It's a really dumb decision, but they're really dumb. At a young age, your brain has not fully formed to make the proper decisions that you would like to make. So in answering your question, no. I like having the long vision at 13, 14, 15 to say that, you know, I can do this, I can break out of whatever obstacles are in my way. No, I didn't have that long vision, and I don't think that most children do. And I think that any child that does have that long vision, kudos to them. Like, that's incredible. But I think that, you know, we really have to address what's real. Most children don't have, like the average kid does not have the long vision to think for themselves in a way that's going to take them past the plight that's in front of them. You know, that's an adult decision, and it's not something that's easily made by a teenager.
So you was a teenager when you made a decision to drop out, and you was a teenager when you made a decision to get into issues or street issues with, you know, your environment. So you was a certain age as a teenager when you made a consciousness or whatever decision to decide that I didn't need to be involved in school, and I decided to make a choice to get involved in the streets.
Well, I didn't drop out. I came back to Hartford School.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not going to say that I made a conscious decision because, again, you know, I don't think kids are smart enough to make. And this is not to downplay any. You know, you got obviously the exceptions. You got Harvard scientists that are 14 years old or whatever. But in general, children just don't make the best decisions. That's why they're guided by adults usually. But yeah, I was a teen when I got into trouble.
Well, what was one of the biggest issues, or what was the biggest thing that you got involved with that was illegal or unethical, if you don't mind telling people?
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
Okay.
It's public information. It's been all over the news lately, right. So I'm perfectly fine talking about it. Okay. I mean, I sold drugs. I was a teenage drug dealer.
Okay.
And it was the so if my friends in school in West Hartford, if the average thing was to go to underage teen parties, my friends in Hartford, the average thing was to, I'm saying underage teen parties, but underage drinking parties. My friends in Hartford, the average thing was to, you know, sell drugs. That was like one of the easiest opportunities, early job opportunities that you could get. So that's what I did.
Did you see it as a lucrative benefit when you were selling drugs?
At the time, yeah. It would. I mean, now, you know, years and years later, if I'm 32 now.
Yes.
So 15 years ago, as a 17-year-old, you know, my decision-making process was a lot different. Even, was I 17, 16? I mean, I looked at the world in a different way.
Okay.
So yeah, it seemed lucrative because I could, like, you know, help out with the rent and maybe buy sneakers or, you know, things like that, or, you know, small things like that. But again, I did not have the worldview of an adult. So without having that, you know, I was only able to see what was in front of me, not what was beyond the obstacles.
Well, that seems like to me that's a problem that you see a lot in inner cities. And I think if you had one message to leave people about as a teenager to avoid getting into this type of trap, what kind of word of encouragement would you tell people, teenagers out there today that's thinking about getting into drug dealing on the streets?
Well, I mean, it's definitely not what it seems.
Okay.
What's here today can definitely be gone tomorrow, and it's even more so when something as transient as drug dealing. But that wouldn't be my message to them at all. I mean, if I had to say one thing to them, that would be it. Because you can, I mean, look at the situation I'm in now. Is something from your teenage years definitely can haunt you down the line. But my message would be more of a policy message. I would rather talk to adults than talk to teenagers, because teenagers are guided by adults. Children are guided by adults, and there's some things that in our communities, like it's not a coincidence at all that if you go outside this door here, you see the same thing that you'll see on Mill Avenue, or you'll see the same thing that you'll see in on 138th in Hamilton, where I lived in New York, or you'll see the same thing in Milwaukee, where I've organized and done some political activity, or Chicago, or whatever, in pockets of young Black and brown people. It's the same thing systemically across the nation. So, I mean, why I would like to talk to teens and help them work through their troubles. I think the bigger push and the bigger conversation is around the systemic issues that create this environment.
Well, that's going to have to be your last words. We are out of time. I had enjoyed this conversation with you this morning, Kennard Ray, and hopefully people can get something out of this interview. Again, this is Jonathan Small, host of All About You. This program, again, is broadcast every week at accesstv.org studios in downtown Hartford. You could also watch this on accesstv.org studios. And as I say every week, have a very blessed day and keep the faith. Thank you.